On a Wednesday night toward the middle of December, the temperature dropped 20 degrees within a few hours. A wind came wolf-howling through the streets. Garbage cans were knocked over, and tree branches splintered and snapped to the ground. Edward slept through it all until the early morning, when he became aware of an incredible racket. It sounded like all the church bells in Brooklyn had gone crazy. But when he sat up, his heart pounding, he realized that it was just his aunt's wind chimes, jangling away out in her precious garden. A cold and unmotivating dawn was just now beginning to break in at his window. He saw from the clock that it was a little after 7. He reminded himself that it was all dancing atoms. Nothing was solid. Pulling the blankets over his head, he caught the tail end of a dream, something about an unfinished homework assignment. It slid by him like a snake into the woods, but the frantic wind chimes clanged and clamored as if they were trying to give some sort of warning. Edward, who took his sleeping very seriously, tried to ignore them, but then he remembered. The rock. He was supposed to bring a rock to science class. Mr. Ross had given them 2 weeks to find a glacial moraine somewhere in New York City and bring back a rock from it. Edward preferred to wait till the last minute to complete homework assignments. The last minute had arrived. There must be a rock or two out in his aunt's little garden. Edward? The voice was surely addressing some other Edward. Edward, take that blanket off your head. He pulled the blanket more tightly around himself. Taste the air. Taste the air? She was a certified Fruit Loop. It will make it easier to wake up. Taste the air. He didn't want to wake up. He wanted to stay in this warm, soft place, at least until late spring or early summer. You're going to be late for school. What kind of twisted criminal mind had come up with this idea of school before noon? Through the blanket, he smelled something. There was a strong burning smell, but then something else brushed lightly against the inside of his nose. Something powdery and sweet. It took him a moment to remember. He slid the blanket off his face just enough to be able to stick his tongue in the air. He thought he could taste it, a very, very faint trace of confectioner's sugar melting on his tongue. Pfeffernusse. The little cinnamon and honey-flavored cookies his aunt always made at the start of the winter season. It was an illusion, of course, like everything else. Just little odor molecules firing off the neurons in his nose and then evaporating. It was an illusion almost worth getting up for, but not quite. He snuggled back down. There was a loud knock, and the door flew open with a bang. He heard her feet making a pathway through the treacherous swamp of dirty clothing and books and debris that covered the floor of his room. He felt her settle herself on the foot of his bed with a little oomph. "Why don't you just come on in?" he muttered. "Why don't you just come in and make yourself comfy?" "Edward, there's no time to pussyfoot around here. I have received a warning. The first batch of pfeffernusse caught on fire. That is something that has not happened to me in over 10 years. And when that occurred, well, it was a very close call. I think it would be prudent to prepare the house now. I want you to come straight home today. We'll start hanging the evergreens and putting the lights in the windows. The sooner the better. We don't want to wait till the last minute. Time doesn't grow on trees." "That's money," he muttered from inside his little nest. "What?" "Money. Money doesn't grow on trees." "Yes, but money is piffle, and time is one of the great treasures." If he asked her to explain herself, it would encourage her. He never encouraged her. "Do you know why it is one of the great treasures?" He didn't make a peep. "Because without time, everything would happen at once." Whoa. He always wondered where she got this stuff from. If everything happened at once...